Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast. I'm your host, Chris Doyle. And today we are here with episode 22 with Seth Kerechanin. I keep saying Kerechanin.
I know. I get butchered. I told
PhD.
I told you. Yeah. Well, thanks. I told you walking in, my family members can't agree on this last name. So don't worry. You're fine. Kerechanin. Yeah.
Kerechanin. Gotcha. And for those of you who don't know Seth, he's one of three members of the Everything Money channel, which I religiously watch. I've watched.
Thank you.
So I knew about you guys 2 years ago when our CEO Hesh was on you guys's.
Yeah.
It was a podcast.
Yeah, we called it a podcast back then.
And he was on there, showed it to us. I was like, the podcast was great, but I was like, wait, who are these guys? I thought you guys, seriously, I thought Hesh flew out to California.
Oh.
Because I thought all the business YouTubers and everything at the time were all like California, New York.
Sunny Akron.
Akron.
Where we're based. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I was starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are from, they're filming in Richfield, Ohio.
Well, we leveled up from the get-go, so I'm based in photo video, so we made the show like this look much better than it actually was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's funny you say that, but yeah.
So if you guys haven't seen the Everything Money channel, please check it out. The link will be in our description. But Seth, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for
having me.
I really appreciate it. I love walking in the building and seeing the vibe you guys have. So
in the basketball.
Yes, it's great to be here. Thank you.
So Seth, for those who don't know, just talk about yourself for a little bit. Who
sure.
are you? Where are you from?
I was born in Copley, Akron area. I love this area. I went to high school in this area, Walsh Jesuit. I ended up going to the College of Worcester, Cow Country, to get a chemistry degree. I played football through college, which I loved. I thought that being educated, I grew up, I'm 41, so I grew up under the concept that you have to, no one can steal your education from you. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay, I'll be rich and famous if I just keep going to school. So I ended up getting a PhD at OSU in chemistry, which was quite boring.
Yeah, OChem.
Yeah. And so I was doing the lab stuff, and once I got out of that, I hit the job market running in the 2008 financial crisis. So I think I applied to 50 places, got one terrible job. The people who work there love it, but it wasn't for me. I was sort of closed in a cage. I like speaking more. So I worked a chemistry job for about 5 years before I got fired. I was building a photography career underneath that in my spare time with my wife. So primarily, I've been a wedding photographer for the past 10 years. I've tried a lot of things in this world, which we could certainly get into, but I love being sort of inquisitive about how things work and could it work for me. But I've photographed about 250 weddings the past decade, which is sort of our strong.
We were trying to get you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. When's the wedding?
The June 24th.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I appreciate that. But and then I got into more photo video stuff. Got hired to some companies to run podcasts, promote them, to market them, to film and edit them. Mm-hmm. And then one thing led to another. And my buddy Paul from high school called me and said, "Hey, I want to get into just education and filming education." And so we started the Everything Money channel 3 years ago. As I was saying to you before, we went 2 years with no one caring. So the fact that your show is taking off so well, you should be proud. Because like I said, I had dear friends of mine really questioning why I was even doing it, because it seemed really stupid. Like, why would you work so much effort to put stuff on YouTube and then no one watches it all? And that was sort of the feeling, but we stuck with it. And now we're doing really well. We get 200-300 subscribers a day from all over the world. We go live and get hundreds of people. We have a sort of a paid community that we guide people on how to handle their finances and investing, and it's great. I mean, we're growing a cool thing, and we're growing by leaps and bounds on YouTube.
137,000.
Yeah, 137,000.
Yeah,
and which is mind-boggling. We started last year with 8,000, so we're doing really well, and that's sort of the gist. I have 2 kids. I love Akron. It's an exciting day for our Cleveland sports. We got the Guardians and the Cavs both playing tonight. So that's my gist. I'm not too busy. I don't work really too hard.
But if someone sees your resume, you'd be like, how does this guy do this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just, I try not to be that guy that, well, Paul, on the show. So I try not to be that guy that says I'm super busy just to kind of show off how busy I am. Like I'd like to do the opposite. Like, yeah, I play basketball. I shoot hoops about 90 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And when, I'll take a drink out back and fire up the backyard fire and stare off into the sunset every once in a while. So, I'm just, it looks like I don't work at all, which is a great feeling to have, I think.
You have good control of your life.
Yeah, I think so. Like today, I did absolutely nothing. It's 11 a.m. I drew a long bath and then watched Warren Buffett speak for like 45 minutes.
Hell yeah.
In a new interview, and then here I am. So, and then after this, I'll go shoot some hoops, and that's my work day today.
Yeah.
So,
did you brush the beard today?
I did. I mean, I had
sexiest beard on YouTube, right? Is that still the poll go? Is that still a running poll?
It's still. Yeah, this beard is so funny. People stop me all the time, like, man, that beard's awesome. I was like, I don't even feel it. Just when you said that, I had to remind myself, and I've had it for like 8 years.
Yeah.
I don't feel it or anything. It's just like this weird. I'll look in the mirror and be like, oh wow, there it is. So,
I got a beard.
Yeah, it's weird. My wife loves it. It kind of defines me now. So
it is. It's kind of like a running meme now. Almost.
Yeah, it is. So
are you gonna get? You should get shirts of it, man. That'd be hilarious.
People are asking for that too. So we have a pretty fanatic, I guess that's the word, fan base. And
that's what I was gonna say. Like, do you ever? I mean, 137,000 to me is just a number that's so almost not necessarily it's unattainable, but it's just so. It's like, can you make $1 billion? Well, $1 billion seems like so far away.
Yeah.
Right. 137,000 seems so far away. Do you ever like pinch yourself?
Of course.
Anything?
Yeah. I think I'm currently experiencing this concept because when we had less than 1,000, 100,000 seemed ridiculous. And now that we're at 100,000, 1 million seems ridiculous. But the numbers say we could get there. I never knew, I didn't think 100,000 subscribers is that many. But sure enough, like, Paul and I were in Switzerland like a month ago, like on the slopes of the Matterhorn, and you walk into a coffee shop and someone says, hey, you are the guys from Everything Money. It's really weird how the world gets smaller and smaller by watching things on YouTube, and like all of a sudden like you get recognized in other places, and it's really kind of strange. So we're kind of living the dream now, trying to enjoy it. But regardless of how many subscribers we have or how much revenue we generate, we're still trying to make just like second by second good content. Like that's just my daily goal, is like think of fun things to do that a viewer would be intrigued by, and then let's go film it to the best we can, and then do it again tomorrow. So that's sort of our goal.
And so you touched upon it a little bit earlier with, hey, you've tried many different things throughout your life and stuff. And, if I were to look at everything in chronological order from your life, if I just had it, on the table, it'd be like, wow, you were OChem and you were doing photography, and I know you have the Miracle Power products.
Oh, yeah. Right. So I bought another business with a friend. We operate out of Cleveland. Yeah. So, I look at businesses. Now that I'm 40, you can't do this when you're 27, but when you get to be 40, some of your wealthier friends, they get bored with their businesses and they want to buy more.
Okay.
So we look at businesses. But, I usually reflect on my life because I've tried other wild things. I mean, I was a football and baseball official for 10 years. I've tattooed full back pieces and leg pieces on people. I've built a motorcycle, welded it out of hand, and driven it down the road. It then caught on fire. But I have driven motorcycles down the road. I almost drove here in a '72 Cadillac convertible because I'm kind of into old cars, but not really.
Why didn't you?
It was a little windy.
You brought the Tesla today.
Yeah, I brought the Tesla. Yeah, the Sethla. So, I've tried. I guess the point is I've tried and maybe failed at a lot of things. And some people might think that when I was young, I thought scatterbrained people or people who had tried and failed at a bunch of things were maybe oh, they're just failing at something else. But then it turned out they ended up finally hitting something amazing.
Yeah.
And so I have a friend that, he tried this and now he's selling these. And what's he up to now? Oh, he's repurposing this. And you're like, what is this guy's problem? And then he hits something, and now he makes these golf rangefinder binocular type things that scope out, and sure enough, now he's in Dick's Sporting Goods and he's in Golf Galaxy, and they're doing 25 million revenue, and it was always this crazy guy. So I actually start flocking more to people who obviously think like me, that might be inquisitive and try more things than the people that just kept it by the book. Yeah. Because that's why I started my career. I just very much kept it by the book.
There's a lot of risk with that too.
Get educated. Yeah, get educated and get that job that you're probably going to work your whole life and sometimes hate. So, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I've been pretty lucky. I've tried a lot of things, failed a lot of things, learned from them. And I might very well fail at this YouTube thing, but I'm starting to get in the concept of really no matter what happens, I'll come out winning because I guess I've grown to being confident in myself, which too takes many years to do. So
yeah, exactly. So, and obviously the podcast or the channel, Everything Money is doing really well, right?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of want to take a step back. So, you're doing the Seth and Beth photography, you're owner of Miracle Power Products, and then, you have the Everything Money channel. But what takes up most of your time, I guess, with this?
Wow. Everything Money does.
Yeah.
I think that, like a wedding photographer, photographers out there, wedding photography, typically the only way you can make money is to go grab a camera and go photograph things. Unless you get into education or selling some sort of online product, where you can ramp up, you're basically limited by yourself, which we still are. We can't do, I have friends that do 50, 60 weddings a year. We do 15 weddings. We like to choose a very exclusive clientele that we vibe with, and we do great. The other businesses that I got involved with is just, like I said, businesses that are kind of running themselves. They don't need a ton of work. We could grow them, but
so it's pretty passive. Like you're not really
doing
too much.
It's pretty passive. I mean, I'm not doing outbound sales calls all day. I guess I could be. I mean, I could sit there all day and make 50 calls.
Just cold calling.
Yeah, like what you guys do here, I guess. Or so and so Everything Money takes up Everything Money. The YouTube show allows me to think of. Well, it's sort of a comedy show. I mean, I think, like...
You guys are hilarious.
It's a dry topic, investing in numbers is quite boring. So then if we can find a couple guys that we can poke fun of each other and not take it personally, bust chops a bit and add a little laughter and just, it's almost like... I worship the show Family Guy when they do like funny cutaways and stuff. So it's like, if something springs into my mind, if you say something that sounds ridiculous in my mind, but maybe not to the viewer, I'm going to say like, I'm going to bring in some sort of weird comical aspect to it. So on a daily basis, I can, I don't know, just I can make funny things for the show or just go crazy. And then I have people in my life like Paul who try to reel me back in and say, I have this creative mind. It doesn't matter what I have to do on my task list today. The ideas keep coming. And so actually my hardest balance is to get my work done on a daily basis with my task manager, while also letting room for creativity to come in, because I can't choose. I can't sit down and be like, all right, I'm gonna be creative right now. Sometimes it just hits you, driving in the car, taking a shower, staring off in the distance. All of a sudden you come up with interesting ideas. So I try to like grasp those profound ideas and then run with them in a timely manner.
I know Paul said when he has these kind of ideas, he just writes everything down.
Yeah, remind him on the phone. Yeah.
Do you do anything like that?
Well, the hardest part is, the hardest part is my ideas come in the bathtub and when I'm driving. So I try not to get on the phone on either one of those. So I will like scream out to my kids, like, will someone please write this down? So, and I've definitely been that guy. I know Seinfeld made fun. One of the shows in Seinfeld is, one of the episodes is he's got a little pen and paper by his bed and he wakes up and thinks of stuff. And I do that too, except it never works as well. So I'm intrigued with that concept. I've read and listened to podcasts, read books and listened to podcasts about that concept of that weird state in between being awake and sleeping, where our mind just wanders. And I love that state. It's really interesting. People have really tried to, and I don't know how to say, they've really tried to put themselves in that state and then grasp what's coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, really good ideas, or you kind of imagine the future for yourself even, and how you're going to reach those goals and stuff. That is really cool.
And you have to be bored while you're doing it. Like, I'm in love with this gal, Sarah Blakely, the Spanx.
Spanx.
Yeah, she's just absolutely incredible. I think she's like my hero. But she would she would specifically get in her car and just drive down roads to think of interesting stuff. And I was like, oh wow, I've never actually tried that. But I'm trying to put myself in more boring positions, which, like, going back to the way my day is structured, is like, if I put myself in more boring positions, I get more time to reflect on life. So.
Would you ever like go hiking? Because I know at least when I'm stressed, like, I think sometimes just going out and I live in Medina, so we're surrounded by a lot of trees.
Yeah.
So if I go, walk around any of the local parks or anything, or just
don't do it as much as I should.
Yeah.
I have kids who love it. I've actually hiked some I'm not a hiker at all whatsoever, but I've actually hiked some pretty interesting hikes.
In Switzerland, right?
Well, no, not that one, but I've done Angel's Landing in Utah a few times. Like, apparently it's one of these most dangerous hikes. I mean, you got to grab chains and almost fall a few times.
Yeah.
So I've done it a few times, but I'm not a hiker at all. I want to do Half Dome at Yosemite, but I guess it's kind of hard to get a ticket to get up there. But regardless, no, I'm trying to put myself in more boring situations and And it's that weird state that it's just an interesting state when you get consciously aware of it more in your life, and you can put yourself in it. At least I've thought of really interesting things, or at least have time to reflect and be thankful. And
anything that's applicable to everything money that you were
well,
so
in those
sort
states? It's sort of my job to kind of come up with crazy ideas. So like, and then I have people in my life, like I said, that kind of hone me back in. But like crazy ideas is like, well, I want to interview Warren Buffett, and other people who actually have interviewed him or say he's completely unattainable. But it's like, well, I mean, I emailed Mr. Beast 2 weeks ago on YouTube, this guy with 100 million subscribers. I emailed Elon Musk yesterday. No. I mean, so like, I just try, Yeah. I guess that's it. Going back to everything I've said, officiating and motorcycles, I've just tried things and maybe it works. And it has led to interesting stuff. We with the channel, we've flown across the country and interviewed famous investors, and it's been really fun and exhilarating. Those projects really excite me. So
yeah, and I think some people just kind of assume rejection, or like, oh, something isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Or
why try?
Why try mentality. And I mean, yeah, man, I spent a lot of money on marketing, in my job as a loan officer, and I've tried a lot of things that really haven't worked, and it sucks losing money. It really does. I mean, I'm obviously at a smaller scale, but it's never fun. But if you don't try it, it'll never do anything. Like the podcast, like you guys were talking about, hey, you're doing 17 views a video, 13 views a video, but what if you stopped? You know what I mean?
Well, sure. Go down to zero, yeah.
Exactly. So it's awesome.
I had that mindset. It's a developed mindset. Some people, when you're young, I couldn't do any of this when I was younger. It was just, now that I'm 40, got a couple kids, my parents are getting older in life, my in-laws as well. You just have, like I said, I just have time to reflect on what has worked and what hasn't, and maybe what I would have told my previous self or younger people. That's the basis of our channel. I think Paul and I just love educating and speaking to people who maybe haven't gone through it. And maybe if we can cut some years of failures off by maybe listening to us or other people, you can be in a better place. I teach photographers as well, business strategy. And I tell them, you're paying me to learn, to just cut a whole decade off of your career of learning. And if we can fast track you to not do these X steps that I went through and other photographers went through, then maybe you'll be better off. So,
and that's a good segue into my next question. It was about investing. And Mo was on the podcast.
Yeah, I watched it.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I love him. He's one of my good friends.
Yeah. So. I mean, your video has to be, he's at like 1,000. What are we, like 1,000? Yeah, we're at 1,000, and you got to beat him, man.
Well, I'm the beauty of
I'm
the
sure
show.
You guys have competitions. So.
Yeah, I'm the beauty of everything money. So that, sure. And I'm into marketing and promotion, so I'll share this more than him. So.
Exactly.
But anyway, so you said you had a question.
Yeah, so like Mo was teaching me, listen, the 8 pillars that you guys teach, there's a certain... There are certain patterns that you follow, right, in terms of investing, stuff that you don't need a financial advisor for. And, when I started I had a financial advisor and I started a brokerage, and, I really had no control over it or anything like that. So Mo was saying, like, listen, you don't need a financial advisor. You can do all this stuff yourself with very little time out of your day, right? And I was like, dude, you're completely right. You know what I mean? So moving into what he's saying, the 8 pillars is just such a fascinating, easy way to be able to, not make super amounts of money, right? But over time, right, you have the long-term holds that you guys are taking. So how has that kind of morphed into your, your investing strategy, being on everything money?
Okay, so I want to like dumb it down even more, because Mo is like a numbers guy, and so is Paul. Like I said, I just listened to Warren Buffett, who's like a prophet to me. And I think of it for your viewers even much more simply. Forget. We can get into the 8 pillars and looking at stocks and yada yada, and it starts to get confusing. Even someone at home right now will be like, "Oh, we're getting into numbers. Pump the brakes." But Warren Buffett, he just said in an interview yesterday, he's like, even from 80 years ago, he invested $100 and some odd when he was a young man, 11, into a company. And I think for anyone at home who wants to get into stocks or has seen the craze, is the concept of, I'm not buying some sort of ticker that I hope to go up. I'm really just becoming a co-owner of a company. And so right then and there, that was a light bulb moment for me. Is like, there's companies all around us. There's a Dairy Queen next to you at your house. There's a car wash you drive past. There's the gas station. There's companies all around us. Do I want to be co-owner of one of those? by buying a stock. Whenever we can get that out of our mind that we're buying a number, Tesla at $970, and I'm hoping it just instantly goes up. That's the funny part with houses and stocks is when they're lower, you should be in love with them, but most people aren't. Mm-hmm. And then the second you buy them, the very next day they have to start going up in value, or most people, the proverbial you, most people are upset, right? I want to buy my house today, and then instantly tomorrow it has to go up in value. That's just what I want. Mm-hmm. If it goes down, all of a sudden I feel bad about it. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I was investing in a business or I wanted to buy more houses, I would want the prices to go down. Mm-hmm. So even if I bought one day, I'd love for the prices to go lower, and so I can get more. So Warren Buffett said, which I just love, is like he's happier when prices are going down while the rest of the world's falling apart. People like myself, value investors, people on our show, our community, people like Warren Buffett, we're very, very pleased. So yeah, I guess the concept is if you want to invest in things like how I bought another business, is you have to look at these companies, the Apples, the Targets, the publicly traded companies as companies and not stock prices. So that's sort of the basis of our channel. The 8 pillars is just really 8 steps we like to look at when looking at a company. And it'd be the same if you're buying a car wash. I just went through a car wash, so I think, they seem like pretty, stable businesses. There's never anybody there. They run on their own, so it's like, but if I was going to buy that car wash, what do they make? What kind of debt do they have? Are they taking on other owners besides me, right? And how are those owners' mindsets? And so these are just like basic things to look at. It sounds very confusing investing in stocks. And most people, 90% of people probably aren't involved, or they might just hand the keys over to a financial planner. Mm-hmm. But we sort of stress the concept of you could probably figure this out in a few hours. I say something on the show, which was really my problem, is I spend my whole life making the money, and then very little time actually wondering how to grow it or do something with it. I'll just hand it to some guy I hardly know. So maybe if your viewers are out there and they sort of feel that, they can, just grasp that concept. We leave our children every single day, and we actually, and some people they hire other care workers to take care of their kids and their family members, all to go make this money. Mm-hmm. And then we can't take an hour out of a year to figure out what should I do with this money to grow it, which it's quite simple.
Yeah.
Really, really, really simple to do. So that's what we're trying to help people, I think.
And your passion for teaching just seems like I could see it on your face.
My wife taught for 15 years, and I did it when I was at OSU. But I don't know. I just get the concept. Like if someone, I walked into here and I was like, hey, you guys ever thought about
exactly.
I don't know.
Well, we have to get those new lights now.
I just like, hey, have you guys ever thought about lighting this way? But I don't know. I just think, I guess you have to have the guts to call out. Like any other person might walk in and say, oh, this is wonderful, and just keep your mouth shut. But sometimes I'm like, hey, I might be able to help you. And if you're open to learning, that's just what I've always been, is just inquisitive and open to learning, I think. Mm-hmm. My kids aren't as much.
Yeah.
Or maybe people in their different time frames of when their ages or where they are in life, they might not be open to learning. They might think they know it all, like most people do when they're 21.
Or some people take offense sometimes if you try and give them and give them advice like, hey, have you ever thought about it this way? Yeah. And then they get real standoffish. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm just giving you advice.
So I'm okay to hang myself out to dry like that sometimes, and with efforts to maybe help us, and it opens up conversations. I love speaking to people. I like educating, and the world's just incredible. I meet so many wonderful people, and it's just great.
So talk about like the inception of Everything Money, because it wasn't Everything Money at first, right? It was
Learn From Us. We started a podcast called Learn From Us, which is a great. I laugh because Paul just buys random websites, and I do too. So he just bought. I got this. I guess the company started from just getting a random website. He got learnfromus.com, which is pretty badass. Yeah. That's a great ticker.
Yeah.
Ticker website, And we paid substantially more for everythingmoney.com, like ridiculous amounts to get that website. But he wanted to educate. He got bored, like I think, some business owners can get when their business is running. He put good people in place. The business is running, and there's not much he could probably change about it. So he got bored, and he wanted to educate people. So he basically hired me to get it out of them, value investors. And some businessmen, they're kind of like these like hermited like introverts a bit.
Yeah.
So we had to like
no substance.
Yeah, just coerce the ideas out of him that he wanted to say to connect with people. And then next thing you know, he just asked me, you know what, I was behind the camera. And he said, you know what, this isn't working. You just come out here and join me. So we started sitting like this and having long form conversations where I would just ask the questions that you're asking. And then he always said the worst thing that could happen for this channel is if I get really good at this, then I stop asking those sort of basic, maybe like childlike questions, which the good part is I'm still not very good. So I'm still asking them and I marvel at what, talented people say right in front of me. So that was the basis of it. It's just like, hey, if you're building a business, let's talk to a guy who has 8 businesses and has had failed businesses and successful businesses. So it led me to get the confidence to get into another business. We look at other businesses around there. There's a lot of in our community. It's funny. There's a lot of, I'm finding, and this isn't a surprise, but there's a lot of baby boomers, like parents my age in their 60s and 70s who are getting older, and they are not, from what I've gathered, they haven't put people in place to maybe market their businesses in the best way. They still think like you got to put an ad in the white pages.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I'm literally seeing
no social media.
So as sad as it is like me and my younger buddies are showing up at potential businesses that are not doing as well as they used to in the 70s, and when these old people are getting out, their exit plans typically aren't that marvelous, and so that's where we might step in and try and make the business great. So Miracle Proud Products.
I was going to say,
yeah, it's a spray lubricant business. Our main competitor is PB Blaster, and well, it's funny. I have funny stories. Like the products are very similar, but I'm hoping they'll buy me one day. So in fact, I know a guy who knows the CEO of PB Blaster. So hopefully they'll just buy us out one day. But like our company, this company's 70 years old, and the guy who was running it was the son of the owner. It had national billboards back in the 50s.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was a big thing. And then they just slowly, the internet, life took over and they didn't adapt. The internet came out, they didn't adapt, and they just ran the business to the ground. So we saved it 3 years ago. And we're doing great. So that's sort of one of the things. So I guess it's an interesting time for people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s because the parents and grandparents are rotating out of businesses. And a lot of them are still great and can be saved. Yeah,
it's kind of cool. What your channel encompasses, obviously, like the teaching, right? But at least what I remember and I don't know if it's because being financially literate or investing has just become more of a social trend these days. But I remember and I know you guys don't like him.
But keep going.
I know you guys don't like him, but like Graham Stephan and Kevin.
Yeah, go on. I like these guys, these YouTubers. I mean, like these guys. I like what they're doing on YouTube.
I like what they're doing.
YouTubers, yeah.
I think sometimes their education isn't as accurate as I think. Nonetheless, whatever opinions you have. But that started, I remember at least back in 2016. And then all of a sudden I started seeing more, and maybe it's the YouTube algorithm too, based on what I'm watching. But it was like more friends were talking to me about investing, more people that outside of my spheres were talking more about like stocks and house hacking and all these different fads. And I'm like, this isn't a cat video on YouTube anymore. You know what I mean? It's becoming more of that mainstream, educational.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you guys ended up coming into that sphere. I wonder why, I don't know if you know, like, why did this become such a social fad?
I brought this up yesterday because I brought this up on the show yesterday. Warren Buffett talked about, and his partner Charlie Munger, they slayed like in the 60s and 70s with investing, but then they realized that there wasn't a lot of information sharing. So they could find interesting companies that no one even knew about that were severely undervalued. So when they bought them, they could make a killing over a long term. Now with the crazy information sharing that we have, I mean, even Paul said yesterday, like when families find out that when Kobe Bryant's family finds out that he was in a crash through TMZ instead of a normal communication, that things are moving so fast that the information sharing, it both helps and hurts. It brings awareness to people who would have never been involved in investing, and it also brings awareness to people who probably shouldn't be involved in investing. And the modern investor has to sort of learn how to deal with that or work around it. But I think it's a good thing that people are more encouraged and educated about saving and investing, as long as they're doing it in the correct things. I know you've had like a Bitcoin guy on here, which I watched.
We did.
The show.
We did.
What was his name again?
Yoshi Nakamura.
Yeah. What a badass name. I mean, like.
Yeah, man, he's awesome.
But so like your viewers very well might. A viewer could watch him and say, talking about crypto and what it's going to do, and be like, wow, this is incredibly intriguing.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, someone, after a few years of education with me, I watch him and I'm just like kind of chuckling inside, like, yeah, this is not what I think at all.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to point people down the concept that you can save, become really wealthy over a long period of time with very little downside risk. And and downside risk is like something that I just recently became aware of, the concept of what can I lose, not just what can I make. And when people talk about stocks, say, oh, if you buy this, it's going to go to here. And they don't ever say, well, if I buy this and none of that happens, where could it fall to?
Like an opportunity costs and stuff.
So go ahead. I was just saying.
Oh, and I was going to say, like, your channel, it's almost like in terms of like a spectrum of risk, right? I feel like you guys, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you're a little bit closer to, the middle, right? You're not like Dave Ramsey, who says, hey, pay don't invest a dime until you pay off all of your debt, your house, everything.
Yeah.
But you're also not, hey, NFTs, crypto, drop ship automation, right? So all of these, right? So a lot of those maybe quote unquote riskier assets.
Well, yeah, I laugh because isn't like drop ship. Like I see all these sort of gimmicky things that people are doing. Like, hey, you can make $10,000 this month by buying crap and then reselling it and yada yada. I see some of these gimmicks. Yeah, I mean, you're right. We are not as conservative as someone like Dave Ramsey, and I have Dave Ramsey follower friends that I'm trying to like wean off of his concepts. But you're right. I think. So like I said, I hate to keep bringing up like Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, but these guys have done it best.
Yeah.
The funny part about investing is like there's multiple different roads, but for some reason the world sort of ignores the road that's been proven to be the best one. It's like there's not even a second and third place. There's just one way to invest that does it the best. But the world loves choosing all these underlying ways to do it. But so for example, Charlie Munger says, number one rule is just don't screw up. Just don't be stupid and don't screw up. Everyone else around you will. It's like, oh, okay. So just don't screw up. That'll bring riches and fame later in life. Is don't do all the crazy stuff that all the other people are doing. So it's like, oh wow. So I bring this concept into like other forms of my life. Just like whether I'm looking at businesses or maybe investing, or just straight up wasting my money and buying things. I try not to follow what other people are doing. I think I have the unique sense of like looking at the environment saying, do I want to be like all of these people? And if the answer is yes, then I go. And if it's absolutely not, then I don't. So it's just very simplistic. Like we're in the business of not screwing up, not betting on a stock that you hear in the news that could go, a ton of them have gone down 60, 70, 80%.
Yeah.
And so we just try not to do that. That's rule number one. And so I get off on these changes. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but
no, I mean, you're very true. I mean, listen, I have a lot of friends who are doing a lot of different things, and sometimes it's hard. Like when I talk to our CEO Hesh, right, Hesh Sagafi,
love him.
Yeah, CEO of Liberty Home Mortgage, right? He says one of the best things you can invest in is just yourself. Number one, right? Because you're in sales, when you reinvest into your business, that's going to have the best return on investment for you. And then anything else, like he doesn't really get into very much. Yeah. He's very much paid down everything as well, but because sales in itself is pretty risky. But I do hear there's a lot of noise out there for sure. I mean, how do you wean out a lot of that? Because I know you kind of touched upon it a little bit, but there's just so many different things that the average investor could get their hands in on, and maybe there's not enough. Maybe there's too much information out there.
Yeah. I tried to educate like normal people, even around me, my siblings, if they ask. It's just a learned process. It just takes time. I think rule number one is like don't screw up. Rule number two is like extreme patience, which very few people excel in, including myself.
Yeah.
And so I'll have the concept of this is a moment where I need to be more patient, and I try and like get in like zenful states. Like, for example, number one, I mean, have you been to an airport lately at all? I mean, like people, in general, airports are these incredible like cultures where you can see people's real. I mean, like a bacterial culture. That you would plant something in and watch it grow. Airports have this incredible way of bringing out the best and worst in people. Most of the time, the worst. In people.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They can't handle general lines, obstacles, family dynamics when you get in an airport, because you're all of a sudden you're on this weird clock.
Everyone's luggage is always lost.
It's just all of it.
Yeah.
And so I will take like little exercises inside my mind to just observe how other people at the airport are completely freaking out, and how myself, and I'm trying to instill in my kids, is like, this is a moment where we can literally say, like, you see how these people can't handle their shit right now?
That's okay. Like, disclosure, you're okay.
Like, this is our opportunity to handle ours and just maybe make a little bit of a gain. So extreme patience is really the second phase of investing. It's like not just buying your house or an investment today and hoping it instantly goes up for the rest of time tomorrow, which is probably not going to happen. So this, like with the crazy housing prices in the past year and a half, I've seen a lot of young people get into a lot of houses. I thought it was almost over. We had a friend, they bid on a house in Canton. I'm going to say the house was $300,000. They bid 30,000 over ask, with 53 offers on day one. And so if you get into these high prices and the market turns and you need to get out, you might be in trouble. So but for some reason, just people can't really exhibit a lot of patience, right? It's like they want to pay more for houses when they go up, and we want to pay more for stocks when they're exciting and they're going up, as opposed to the ones that are falling and no one cares about. Which just last week, for example, Warren Buffett spent $4 billion and bought Hewlett-Packard, this dying, stupid printer company that no one cares about.
Yeah.
They don't have a flashy CEO like Elon Musk. You know what I mean? So it's like when I say there's like a one way to invest, and then there's not even a second place team or a JV team, like Warren Buffett's doing it this one way. And for some reason we come up with all these cockamamie schemes on how to do it instead of just doing the calm, easy, patient way. And so we're just trying to teach that way.
The right way over it. What do you think of Elon Musk and his recent Twitter headline?
Yeah, I think what's the concept? Most people say, I love Elon Musk as a person. He's a salesman as well.
Sure.
And so he's trying to sell Tesla cars and trying to convince people that the Tesla stock is cheap. But I love innovative people, scientists. It's incredible. I marvel at space and what they're doing. I started watching that Netflix documentary on SpaceX. So, I've had 2 Teslas. It's hilarious. We, as Mo said, we all drive Teslas, but I would never touch a Tesla as a company. I would never be a shareholder of Tesla at the moment. So, yeah. But Elon Musk is incredible. Yeah. The Twitter thing's just bonkers. So I don't know what to think about it.
I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's cool. I'd love to interview him too. We were just talking about last night about trying to interview him, because channels with fewer subscribers who are basically in love with Tesla have gotten interviews with him. Mm-hmm. But I would sit down and ask him all these same questions. What he thought about this, what he thought about that, where the world's going. And he's awesome.
What's next on your schedule then? Like, in the next couple of years, like, do you just kind of,
Gosh, that is crazy. I never even,
do you kind of just go with the flow, or do you have a certain goal you want to meet?
It's funny. I'd never been much of a goal setter.
That's hilarious.
And I hear that's bad. But
seems to be working for you.
Yeah, and I guess I have friends in my life that would say that's even the worst part, is if you're doing something bad and it's working, because all of a sudden it can catch up with you. The old fake it till you make it type thing. Mm-hmm. So, wow, goals. We have general channel goals, but I like to break them down. Do you think you'll ever have Paul on? Because he is really much better speaker than I am.
What? You're the face.
So
you're the beard of
I'm the beard of the show. Yeah. So Paul developed this concept, and I'm certain he didn't come up with it, but the concept of going from A to Z in like your life of goal setting or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I felt inadequate by not setting long-term goals.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start setting goals and you're not accomplishing them. So that feels crappy too, or demoralizing. But he actually talks about, instead of A to Z, he talks about the B to Y process. You know this. It really speaks to me. So I find that most people, when they set a goal, setting the goal is step A. All right, let's devise what I want to do, lofty or not, and set it. Most people's step B is tell everyone about the goal. Go on social media and tell everyone I'm going to lose 40 pounds. I'm going to start my business. What we don't do are the steps to start actually acquiring the goal, and maybe start telling people like at the G or H or F step, you know what I mean, later down the line. I just put F after G and H. But anyway, like, yeah, so what he does is let's think about the end goal and just start working backwards. And I was like, what? Like, how do we get 1 million subscribers on a YouTube channel? Well, we need to have, 100,000 a year. Okay, well, that's step Y. We need to get a 900,000 by this year, 800,000 by this year, so on and so forth, going backwards. And then how do we do that on a minute-by-minute basis, going from the A step? And so I've tried to prioritize life things in that way. Is like, what is today's step we can do? So I guess with my lack of long-term goals, I just try to say, like, over this next 10 minute spurt, how can I be most successful? And then there's also 10 minutes where I just scroll on TikTok and look at dancing videos, because I actually dance like in my kitchen, and basketball videos, or baseball coaching videos. So I space out at times too, because that's my creative side. I have to watch other people do things before I get my ideas. But that's sort of the concept. Long-term goal, I don't know. It's make more money by working less, which everyone wants to do, but figure out the ways how to do that. So
yeah, I mean, you're just taking it day by day. I think a lot of people, like, in terms of sports, right? It's, I want to win the state championship, or I want to win the national championship, or I want to be the Olympic champion. And you could scale it however you want. Sure. But sometimes it's almost, the goal is so overwhelming. Yes. Right? That you kind of psych yourself out because the goal is so big. Yep. And yes, you have a big goal, and it's good to have a big goal, but it's almost like you're foregoing the steps to get there by thinking about the goal too much.
Yeah, that was it. Maybe that's why I don't like setting long-term goals. I have a weight loss goal, which I had last year. I have another weight loss goal this year. I guess general goals, I like to spend more time with my kids because they're getting older. I'm starting to realize it. My little babies are like 12 now. I have 12 and 8-year-old. But, maybe some of your viewers who are working really hard out there are starting to see the concept of I'm starting to put work in front of my time with them. And I'll watch a beautiful movie or something and see like sort of a fake form of life, but really it'll bring me back to like, oh, I need to like love my kids more, and spend more time with them. And so that's weird when you say it. I'm kind of stunned. I don't have long-term goals, but then I also think there's BS people out there that they want to tell you all these magnificent goals so that I can impose that I'm just better than you because I've thought of all these. Yeah. And then they're not actually taking any steps at all to reach them. So
I mean, if you were to ask me the same question, I don't really have a goal either, to be honest. Yes, I want to be as successful as I possibly can be, but I don't try and think of it that way at all. Yeah. Like, I don't try and think of this as success of, personal success or, work success or financial success. I just know like there's the B to Y steps and just and not necessarily I've thought about it like that, but I think about it more just, I don't want the overall goal to overwhelm me. Cause then if I miss something, I just get so freaked out. Absolutely. And it's overwhelming.
Yes. I guess on a small scale, I have tasks per day that I need to meet. I like to get done, and once those are done, I go bonkers.
Shoot hoops.
Shoot hoops. I very well might be like, the Cavs are playing tonight. I'm going to go to the game. So that's just it. Like day to day, set goals, get them done. That's probably my goal. Everyone always says happiness, but we're trying to put steps in place to be happy. So
brush the beard, brush the teeth.
It's a tasking job every morning. So
no doubt, Seth. Yeah. So we're almost done here.
Oh snap! Really?
I think so. Right?
Wow! Awesome. Oh my gosh, you could have told me it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Damn, we haven't even talked about anything. Go on.
We talked about a lot.
I know.
There's so much.
That's just how I feel. I could do this for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I love it. Keep going. What else you got?
No doubt. So I just want to understand what your best piece of advice would be to, and you do a lot of teaching, right? Yeah. I feel like, and I don't know the specific demographic, like the majority demographic, but I would imagine it would be more so like the 26 to 35-year-olds, right, that are watching your channel. So what are like, and I kind of have around the same type of demographic, right? About people who are investing, they're interested in the economy, they're interested in business, entrepreneurship. What kind of advice would you give them if they're, say, struggling, right?
Even as I'm saying this, if 100 people view it, one person might do it. So step one is interview your parents on camera about how they fell in love, and then interview your children about how their life is, and keep those for the next 10 years because you're going to want them. That's step one. I've already done these two. And then step two, I would say the concept of investing is well, this is weird to think about, but like the stupider you think about it, probably the better. Like
you go into that more.
Yeah, like I just listen to these giants that do it, and it's like, okay, don't take risky things because they seem popular. Like tried and true things will always work, like hard work and dedication, and these can extend to investing. Is like you can do this. I would say most people. My 8-year-old has a portfolio that he monitors.
Yeah, start him off young.
My 11-year-old will get off the bus and tell me, like, did you see what happened to Alibaba today? And so, like, it's not difficult. It's just something you have to do. So I guess if you want to work backwards from, and the crazy part is, well, we have software that can help people do this. But, like, if you want to work backwards and say, I need X amount of dollars for retirement, we can work backwards and say, this month you need to save probably something very small, like $87 or something, to have X amount of millions of dollars down the line. And so for mid-20 people is, I know financial planners don't want to hear this, but like, this isn't a taxing process. I invest, I maintain a portfolio of like something not too crazy, $500,000 I saved up through my 20s and 30s. And I spend about an hour and a half a year on readjusting my portfolio. Like, I do some things in between, but like true readjustments is like, there's lots of books out there. The information sharing is great. There's lots of books out there, and there's lots of people who have done it really well. And so I just you can do it. I think you can do it. And I have literally seen people. I have a dear friend. He's a doctor. He makes $1 zillion, and my age. And 8 months ago, he was fearful of investing any money at all. And now he day trades like he day trades on margin and like leveraged options on a daily basis. It went from like, my wife and I will not take this out of a high interest loan, 0.7 CD at a bank, something so ridiculously low and low risk, you're never going to make any money, to now he's like a daily active day trader. So like, it's not some monumental shift. And so that's just it. You can do it and just start saving your money, especially if times get really difficult. Just keep saving.
Do you think there's a spectrum of if I am in, investing in my 401k, Roth IRA, and very low risk assets, I obviously have my own job. You're making money too. Is there ever a point in time where you would say like, hey, there is something riskier out there, but I want to go explore it? Would you ever tell somebody just not to do that? Or, because I don't know, like, there could very well be people out there that maybe there is a business opportunity out there, but maybe it is pretty risky and you're getting a lot of naysayers,
You're right. Naysayers are dangerous. They hold people back. I've just been lucky enough to surround myself with people who, I guess that concept of surround yourself with people who are better than you. And if you can get into their circles, I've done that with a few people. And so without them, I wouldn't be saying or doing any of this stuff. I guess it starts with some sort of leadership as someone who's done it better than you. Yeah. And maybe find those people. But again, like I wouldn't find someone who's done it better than me in Bitcoin or NFTs. Yeah. Because those don't believe in. Yeah. I just don't believe in them, or they don't speak to me as well. So, man, I'm sort of dancing around the question, but you're posing. I guess they're very basic, but I'm having a hard time.
Thought-provoking, nonetheless.
Yeah, like I will certainly reflect on this conversation about, because it's really my job, as you're doing on our show, to think like the people who like the viewer who's watching this and think, what are they thinking right now? And what question do they want to hear?
I guess I'm in a point where it's, hey, and I can't speak for my entire millennial generation, right? I just know there's a lot of, look, we got a war in Ukraine, gas prices, inflation is high, and, people who are getting into their first homes, they're getting married, but now, they're 50 grand in student loans, and maybe they are doing the right things, right? Is it okay for them to explore different, riskier things to be able to do?
So I would say everything you brought up sounds really bad.
Yeah.
So why would we get in anything risky?
Yeah.
Right? People, I know where you're going with that. People think, let's get into something riskier to make up for all the bad stuff that we have. The student loan that I'm still paying off.
Yeah.
From 2003. Which is fine. I chose to go there. But so that is a great question. And I guess I can sort of finish with this because I asked it to Paul. But, this is my buddy on the show. I mean,
we have to have in.
He operates a portfolio of around $100 million. He's not a normal person. So he's done a bunch of crazy things that everyone else just didn't do. And so I say to him, man, you have all the money in the world. I've seen him buy watches that are absurd. I've also seen him make donations to places that are absurd. Absurdly high. And so you have all the money in the world. Why wouldn't you try and blow some of it on some riskier things? It's like, well, I didn't get here through risk. I got here by doing stupid, boring stuff. Mm-hmm. And so that really spoke to me.
That's great.
Why would someone with a fractional percentage of what he has, why would I employ riskier decisions when the biggest people in the world, when the biggest people in the world don't? So it's like, if you're wondering, just go look at Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, Howard Marks, Seth Klarman, all these famous investors that are just completely slaying it, these billionaires, what they invest in, and it's not any of those risky things. So that's why I stay out of it. It's quite simple when you break it down like that. So
I love it, Seth.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Hey, that was episode 22 with Seth Kerechanin.
Yeah.
I almost had
You're
it.
great, man. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks.